Hello, and welcome to Mind Your Head, a space for people to share their stories, talk openly and honestly about their own mental health challenges, and to give some listeners some comfort in knowing you're not alone. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land in which we record this podcast, the Gubbi Gubbi people. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to all Indigenous peoples. We honour their enduring connection to the land, waters and culture, and recognise their invaluable contributions they make to our communities. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. Welcome to Mind Your Head, Dylan. Really appreciate you making the time to come in for a chat today.
Oh, thanks for having me, mate.
First off, how you doing, man? It's how's life treating you? It seems like you're pretty flat out.
Yeah, man, it's a busy time of year, coming into December in Chrissy. Currently in the process of actually moving back to the West Coast. So at the moment living in Byron. So yeah, it's my last couple of weeks here. So it's a bit chockers, trying to pack up the house, sort everything out. I got to drive across the Nullarbor, get my Prado service, all that, get my work loaded. But no, it's good, man. I'm loving it.
I feel like you like your life a bit busy, don't you?
Yeah, it has to be,
It does.
be on the go. Otherwise, I don't like being stagnant. It gets a bit boring.
Yeah, does it?
Yeah.
So how's the move over been from WA to Byron, that transition over to the East Coast? What type of work was it?
It was kind of just, I'm 21 now, and up until before I moved here, I was always living at home, and not the town I'm from is quite a small coastal town in WA. It's called Mandurah. It's about an hour south of Perth, and it's a very traditional town. Everyone has fire for there. Everyone, there's not many people in the creative space, which I'm coming from, and wanting to kind of grow as an individual and also within my business, I felt like I needed to kind of push myself out of my comfort zone a bit. So yeah, found a couple of mates who are on the same level from Sydney. We found a house in Byron, a tree house, and we're like, well, screw it. We locked in the lease and got a 6-month lease from June up until, a few weeks away, and drove across the country with not really much of a plan or how my work life was going to go, whatever, or what mates I was going to make, but it's been the best 6 months of my life.
Has it really?
Yeah, it's been incredible. Just meeting so many new people, and especially in the creative space, and from the Goldie and Brisbane and the business opportunities that have arrived from it. It's been really cool.
Life changing, eh?
Yeah, it's been good, man.
Yeah.
Jumping in the deep end.
Yeah. Only way to do it, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
How's Byron been at south of town? Do you enjoy it?
Yeah, well, I chose Byron because I got one of my best mates who's been living there his whole life, and we used to do trips, most November, December would go visit him, and coming from a small coastal town, I felt like the Goldie is probably a little bit too much because I know I'm not the biggest city person, but Byron is a little bit more low key, a bit more chill, a bit more out of town. So I was like, I do go to 6 months in Goldie, in Byron. Sorry, if I like it, I might extend for next year. But
head back.
Yeah, I know I do like it. I got to go home for summer, but I think next year definitely come back to either Byron or the Gold Coast. But for autumn.
So let's talk about dive into your business, because I don't think I've told you this, but you first came across my algorithm probably over a year ago now with your little catchy day in the life video.
Yeah, this is sick. Hell yeah.
I don't know how it came across, but and I figured out once I watched the full video, all it sends me is all your videos now.
Yeah, sick.
Growing up, were you always sort of into creating content online? Were you always a creative kid growing up?
Yeah, I got my first GoPro from mum and dad when I was, I think, in year 8, so I would have been like 12 years old.
Yeah.
It's when I was like around the same time me and my mates were getting into surfing, bodyboarding. And naturally, I was always the worst surfer, so I'd always end up filming with the GoPro.
That's me.
Me and the boys and on the water. On my bodyboard, filming the boys getting pitted and whatnot. When we were just frothing, we're like 12, 13 years old.
Yeah.
Just running the mark, going to the skate park, going to the shops, just doing teenager stuff. And I started making YouTube videos back in the day, and really quickly fell in love with, documentation and storytelling and filming my life and, showing it to the world and hopefully, having a positive impact. And coming into my later years of high school, when I was really starting to get done with school and realizing that it wasn't really, I didn't find it beneficial for me with what I was going to do after it. I started like a little freelance business, doing photo shoots for different businesses around my hometown back in WA. And then literally as soon as I graduated school in 2021, started making those day in the life videos on TikTok. You're talking about documenting me waking up, taking my dog to the beach, living that very iconic Aussie lifestyle, and pretty quickly grew an audience, and kind of just been running with it for since then. So
did you have any initial fears early on when you started posting videos to TikTok? In terms of insecurities or?
Not really, because since I started younger on in high school,
Yeah.
I used to get picked on so much for them.
Did ya?
You know, when everyone's starting to get to like that age, you go to parties and drinking, I'd be out making YouTube videos with my mates. So I kind of got all those insecurities out pretty quick
Mm.
in high school. And then by the time I started, you know, building a following on social media, because there was a lot of hate that came along with it,
Yeah.
I was just like, you know what, I've been kind of dealing with this for a few years already, and I've always had this mindset where it's just like, it's just fuel to the fire.
Yeah. You're really battle hardened. You were just like,
Yeah. I was just like, yeah, I love this. When someone's got something bad to say about you, it's usually a reflection of them. So
that's what I've sort of gathered, because when I first started this, you know, I didn't have really much social media. I kind of stayed away from it when I started doing this. I was like, I'm trying to do a good thing. I won't get I shouldn't get any hate.
yeah,
But you do, like, you do get
Yeah.
people comment stuff, and I was rattled by it. Because I've never
Yeah.
experienced that sort of stuff before. So when it first came my way over like videos that I'm trying to like create positive change and stuff, there's some people that like have commented on there, and my missus was like, "You're right." I'm like, I'm proper rattled by this. I didn't think I was going to get hate from this.
Yeah.
So I've had to learn to, like, you know, it's more, like you said, it's more reflection on them rather than what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
And it's more, I've just got to like understand it, accept it's going to happen. If you're in this world, like,
Yeah.
you've got to understand that people are going to disagree with you.
Yeah, it's just like, flipping the switch as well, like understanding that if you are at a point where you are getting criticism and hate, it's probably a sign you're on the right track. You're making enough noise, and, you know, if you're not actually putting content out there, it's harming anyone else or
Yeah.
anything, then yeah, I reckon just keep running with it and,
Yeah.
you know, use it as fuel to the fire and as motivation to prove more wrong. So.
Yeah, I had a guy, Andy Cooks. He's a famous sort of social media chef.
Yeah.
He came on the podcast,
Sick.
and he was like chatting to me about, sort of dealing with hate and that sort of in comments and that sort of thing. He goes, my aim is to have 20% people that like me and 80% that hate me. I go, 80%. He goes, look how big the world is. If only 20% love you, that's all you need.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I never really thought about that. I've always thought about, you want everyone to like you. He goes, mate, just worry about that 20% that fucking love you, and target those people, because they're the people that matter. The 80% that don't like you, they don't.
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
100%. Yeah, and you just got to understand, if you're going to put yourself in a position to be online and to be seen, you got to be able to, cop it. It's going to happen regardless. So may as well, put on a happy face.
Did it ever get to you at all? And
not really, to be honest. Like, maybe if I'm making content, which I probably wasn't too proud of in the first place, and then I start getting a bit of shit, then it's maybe like, all right, maybe I should shift away from that. But to be honest, most of the stuff I put out there is like, it lines with my values and my passions. I'm not doing any bad by anyone. So it's just like, if someone's got something bad to say to them, I don't care too much.
Did you have a game plan sort of when you're making these, YouTube videos and started to take it sort of full time? Did you have a game plan or goals that you wanted to achieve, or?
Nah, never really until I got out of school. Like,
just wing it.
Just kind of started because I loved it. Something to do on the weekend. And I guess when I came out of school, like those day in the life videos, which I kind of became known for at the early days, and which built majority of my following across TikTok and Instagram, it was just like my life anyway. And I was already filming. I was like, oh, let's chuck it. Let's try out this TikTok thing.
It's funny, like, why do you think those videos have gained so much like interest and such a big reach? Because I was trying to think about it, because it's so, like you said, it's just your normal. You're not trying to fake it. You're authentic. It's your proper day in the life.
Yeah.
And I was trying to think. I was like, fuck, how does it, like? Why do I love it so much? Why do I watch it all the time? And like every now and again, it still comes across, and I'm like, oh yeah, what's he up to? Yeah. Is it like, being authentic? Is it, obviously it's a beautiful part of the world, so people must be looking at it going, fuck, like.
Yeah, I think for outsiders that don't live in Australia, it's really cool, because I feel like the Aussie lifestyle is pretty glorified for most like Americans and Europeans. And it was just like, it was a time of social media. TikTok was like, anything could really go viral, and if you stuck at something long enough, it would work. And I just like, the strategy I did have was to just rinse and repeat the same format of different days, like using the same sayings, the same intro, all right, we're back for another day in the life, and just rinsing the same repeats and getting my dog in the videos and creating like these different parts of attachment that the audience can love.
And
then and the consistency definitely helped. Like, I did one of those vlogs every day for 90 days, which was when I went from 0 to a couple 100K within like 90 days. So
did you?
The consistency was the main part where that worked for me, to be honest.
So 90 days posted every day.
Yeah, pretty much.
This is what you got a couple 100,000 followers.
Yeah, went from pretty much, I had 10K when I started, just from, previous surfing videos, and then yeah, started pretty much Chrissy 2021, and then all the way to like the end of March, I posted every single day and went from 10 to like 300K within a couple months. So
Incredible, eh?
the consistency, like having a format as soon as you see it work, and then
Mm.
just like not rinsing and repeating it. Obviously, always keeping it fresh, but
Mm. And that's the challenge, eh? You want to keep the same formula that works,
Yeah.
but also mix it up so it's not the same content.
exactly, and that's why the
That's a
daily
challenge,
vlog
eh?
works so well. Because the daily vlogs, like I didn't have to go out of my way to brainstorm new video ideas. It was just whatever my day was.
Yeah.
And at that time, when I just graduated high school and I was on the boat every day, it was pretty entertaining content. So it just worked, and it was just happened at the right time and right place.
Are you still making those sorts of videos?
Yeah, I've definitely shifted a bit more nowadays towards a bit more business and
Mm.
the behind the scenes work I do with my brand One Palm and whatnot. But yeah, the vlogs is kind of still my bread and butter of most of my content. And
Yeah.
yeah, heading into this summer, definitely starting to ramp it up again.
Like I would have hated to see how much fucking times I watch your videos. Probably doesn't tell you.
Yeah, yeah.
There'll be a few times, I reckon.
Hell yeah.
And I think I guess a little bit deeper, I think, we all experience moments
Mm.
that change our lives forever. I've definitely experienced, times that have obviously shifted my mindset and put me on a different path. And, they make us look at the world a bit differently.
Yeah.
If you're happy to, what are some of your turning points that have shaped your life?
Yeah. I'd say probably the biggest thing, I've gone through a lot of hardship in my life, especially during my high school years. My best mate during, all of primary school heading into high school, unfortunately passed away in year 8, and, a couple months later, losing my dad to suicide at the age of 15 and 16, which was super rough. And up until that point, I lived a very blessed childhood. Had a great mum, dad, great support system. Went to a great school, lived in a great area, always traveling with the family. And yeah, after losing my mate, initially I was pretty rocked, and then, straight back to back, then losing my dad, it kind of really put me in this place where my whole world went from being epic to, started 2020 on the 12th of January, like 12 days into, 2020, thinking it's going to be the best year of my life. Everything kind of flipped upside down. And I don't know, I feel like at that time, I don't know if I'm much of a spiritual person, but I felt like I kind of had two paths presented in front of me, which was one, you can give into all this pain and you can really, take this route, the easy route, and start, drinking on the weekends and start making the wrong decisions to deal with all this grief that you're going through. Or you can, not toughen up, but put on a happy face as much as you can and look after your mum and your sister and use all this hardship and pain you've gone through to really use it as motivation to prove everyone that's ever doubted you wrong, make every single dream that you've ever had come to fruition, and, just use it as, don't look at it as a failure, but look at it as a lesson and understand it's happened for a reason. And now it's your time to, make the choice on what you do next. So yeah, it's a rough journey, and I've gone through lots of stuff to help me develop a mindset like that. But yeah, man, there's always days where you just want to give up, but you push through and you look back and all the dots usually connect, and it's like, all right, that happened for that reason. That happened for that reason. That's why I'm the way I am now. And yeah, man, it was honestly a point where like I said, I went from being, like fresh 16 going to 11, absolutely loving middle of summer, to all of a sudden my life really getting turned upside down within a phone call. And yeah, the months leading after that, probably up to finishing school, was some of the roughest I've ever faced. Yeah, I've never really been a big believer of depression, to be honest, but obviously going through that firsthand and afterwards feeling different symptoms of really wanting to give up and not seeing a light at the end of the tunnel, it kind of really started to, develop some bad mental health issues. But through the strength of my support network, my mum, my sister, and, maybe God, whatever was telling me there's these two paths to take. Yeah, somehow I just found the courage to, I don't know, use it as a lesson in my life and use it as a reason to keep fighting and, to make my dad proud up there and, to be able to put myself in a position where I can look after my mum and sister. And
how is the relationship with your mum and your sister?
yeah, it's great, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always been great. Yeah, me and my sister are complete opposites. She's 26. She's a lawyer, academic weapon, like complete opposite sides of the spectrum, where I'd barely graduated from high school and I've went to a lot more of a creative field, but we get along really well. And yeah, especially after going through all the stuff we have as a family, me and my mum and sister are are tighter than ever. Yeah, me and my mum work pretty closely on my brand together. Hopefully can get her on full time soon, which is something I've always been like aiming for. So
That'd be the best.
yeah, we've got a great relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did it, I guess, make you mature at a young age?
Um, yeah, I'd say so. I also used to hang out. I never really hung out with kids in my year. I was always kind of hanging out with older mates,
Oh, did you?
like
Yeah.
18, 19, 20 when I was, 16, 17.
So you're already a mature kid growing up.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah.
I've always had kind of a very deep style of thinking, and I always,
Oh, have you?
yeah, I
Yeah.
always articulate stuff maybe a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Um,
It's never a bad thing, I don't think, is it?
yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, obviously through the challenges and whatnot. Yeah, I don't know if you call it rough skin, but definitely just built up
Mm.
a few different mindset principles now, which is just like, I don't know, helps me push through and yeah, gets me Thursdays. So
Have you managed to make sense of, I guess, in understanding and acceptance of what decisions your dad made, or if at all, if you
yeah, I've never been angry at him, to be honest.
you haven't?
Nah, especially after I went down a pretty bad path after that and experiencing like pretty bad mental health issues before. I did understand that wasn't in his right mind and,
Mm.
if he could take it back, he would. Um, so I never felt angry or like resentment against him, but I know there's always just confusion, which I still have up to this day, like, especially when trying to have faith in God and the universe. It's like, I'm a massive believer in that everything happens for a reason, but days like
Same.
that really make you question that
Yeah, yeah.
and really like pose questions to you is like, well, why did that happen?
Why did I have to learn that?
Yeah. And I love the quote that, if God was making someone to be a strong and like independent person, he would put them through hard challenges. So I try and keep on that. But yeah, there's definitely lots of questions I still have to this day. But
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, I think it's,
How dark were your days? Did you get into, you know, drugs or alcohol? I think that was sort of my route that I took when I was sort of struggling.
yeah,
I just tried to numb it. I didn't want to face it. I tried to run away from those sort of
yeah,
emotions and feelings. And I thought, I was a young kid, so I thought the easiest way to do it was just to drink and do drugs and
yeah,
numb it all away. But that obviously that's
yeah.
that's not a long term thing.
Yeah, never really dived into that. Didn't really get into, and never really didn't have my first beer till I was 18.
Good man.
Different story now.
Yeah.
But
Is it? Yeah.
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 Nah, like I've had some rough days, man, and you know, year 11 after all that went down, like there was plenty of times where I didn't know if I had the strength to keep pushing on and wake up another day. And um, yeah, I've come close many times. Never have had the balls to ever, put too much thought or action into it. But I've had days, man, where it's like you really just, even being an ambitious person, having crazy dreams, you wake up and going through this stuff and having so many questions about what happens to you. It's hard to like find hope that, there is happiness on the other side of the hardship. But
Do you have a bit of head noise sometimes?
yeah, for sure. There's always head noise, man. But
What do you do to silence it?
man, I've been pretty sweet for the last couple of years, and maybe it's because it's been still recent, like first 4 years, it's been still pretty numb pain. And the last 6 months has actually hinged it up quite a lot. And recently, like I got to a point where it was getting pretty bad and, living in Byron and, being away from home, I did start resorting to different habits, which I wouldn't usually, and start hanging out with people that, I know weren't good for me. And recently it's just come back down to me just doing those little things that really make me happy again. Sunrise swims, going for a surf, going for a run, eating a good meal with your mates, getting off your phone. They've always been the biggest things. Whenever I get into a phase of, I feel like I'm losing myself, I find just getting back to those little things which I've loved doing as a kid, loved doing as a teenager. It's always kind of what grounds me again. It makes me realize what's important. Because it is so easy to get lost, especially like when these things and you don't like, I guess when you don't, what's the word I'm looking for? When you don't like respond to these situations when they happen with the right way and you try and numb the pain, it's just always going to sneak up later.
You're just delaying it, aren't you?
Yeah, it's just delayed pain. So I've been a lot more, trying to actually break down situations and analyze them and how I can learn from them and, grow as a person. Because, yeah, that's what matters usually when you go through these situations.
Yeah, you mentioned like, grief can be such an emotional roller coaster. I've had
Yep.
friends that sort of been in the similar situation to you and lose sort of parents or lose friends in that way. And, they go through highs where they think everything's good, and then it sort of comes back down again. How has your emotional journey been over the last, I guess, 4 years? Has there been anything that's helped? I know you said the little, you go back to the little habits, but how's your emotional journey been the last 4 years
Yeah. Overall, man, like,
overall?
can't complain. Like, I think the biggest thing for me is I have a really, really genuine good group of mates,
Mm.
which, have grown up for me and been there firsthand for a lot of these challenges I've gone through. Who I can always bounce back on. Find having a good group of mates you can always chat to, and not like there's a massive stigma, especially for blokes, man, like not wanting to talk about your feelings. And I used to be like that for sure. I'd always want to keep it into myself, and even still to this day, man, like
I'll push that. I'll push it down.
yeah, like
Yeah,
you always just want to try and,
yeah,
man up, be tough.
yeah, yeah.
I definitely believe that there's a time and place for that, but if you are hurting, man, it's never going to hurt reaching out to one of your best mates, and
Mm.
you can always guarantee they're going to be so grateful that you came to them. They're going to feel more appreciated as a friend, and your problem's going to be a lot more heard and resolved.
Well, that's another question I want to ask you, because we got 10 years between us, and sort of my friends group now, we're all have been through a fair bit and we're all at a stage of our lives, at age wise, where we don't care as much as about being tough or cool, or
Yeah,
very often a lot of us talk about things that have been going on, and they're not as afraid as they were to be vulnerable and chat about some hard things.
yeah.
What's it like, I guess, your generation now with, you mentioned that your friends, is there still a stigma there?
I don't think it's as prevalent
It's
anymore.
prevalent. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's definitely getting better, especially in Australia, where I think there has been a very like toxic, you know, what's it called, the tall poppy syndrome, where
Yeah.
you feel like you can't do certain things in front of certain people because you're gonna get judged. But I know within my friend group, maybe I've I've got some better people in my corner than others, but I've always felt whenever I've gone to one of my mates and I've told them I've gone through situations which are affecting me negatively,
Mm.
it's always been positive reception, and I've never had in the back of my head, oh, he's going to judge me for saying that to him and opening up. It's always been, the opposite of that, and they feel a lot more appreciated as a mate that you have the courage to even chat to them in the first place.
Yeah. 100%.
But yeah, it's still definitely prevalent where you do want to. Even me, man, like I'm sure you get like it as well. At times again, when you go through tough situations, you do just want to deal with it on your own. Maybe it's a natural instinct to do that, but
I'm a very private person, which is
yeah,
which is weird doing this sort of thing.
doing a podcast.
Doing a podcast.
Yeah.
And that was one of the huge struggles doing this podcast, is that I don't talk about these sorts of things to anyone.
Yeah.
Or never had before. I kept it very personal, very private. When I started the podcast and actually talking about some of the things that I've gone through, a lot of close mates, a lot of family members were shocked to hear how I was feeling or what I was going through up here, because they would say, "Oh, on the outside you looked fine."
Yeah.
And that was like how I dealt with it. I just wanted to keep it private.
Yeah.
I thought I'm the only one that can fix it.
Yeah.
So that was a huge thing, was being open to people and talking
100%.
about it to people. What's your understanding about mental health now, with everything that you've gone through,
In terms of,
what you know about it, how people deal with it, maybe the warning signs, seeing in close friends, how to deal with, struggles, dealing with stresses in your life?
yeah, I don't know. I think, man, it's a loaded question, but I know for me, when I've always looked back and I look at the worst parts of my life, and when I've struggled with anxiety, stress, or depression, the worst, it's always when I usually tend to stray away from my most authentic self, when I start doing things I normally wouldn't, and getting into habits and routines that I know aren't good for me at the time, but have a lot of short-term pleasure to them.
It's that fake dopamine that we sort of chase,
Exactly.
isn't it? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then when I look back and look at the best times, it's always when, I have probably the least amount of care for what other people think about me. I'm sticking to my daily things that I know are good for me, make me happy. Those like real interactions with other people, eating good food, moving your body, meditating, journaling. Um, yeah, I don't know. And then for mates, I think it's if you know your mates well enough, you can tell when they're truly themselves, and that's
Mm.
usually a good sign that they're in a good headspace. But
Mm.
it's not too hard, I don't reckon, to pick up on when your mates are off, and
Yeah.
it's never going to hurt to ask them a question if they're
Mm. And that's something that I want to tell you, I really admire about you is that, losing a father, at such a crucial age of
Mm.
development, it can impact your sense of direction and purpose and stuff. And that's something that I really love about what you've done is that you've turned your pain into purpose.
Yeah.
And you've used it as fuel and your driving force for everything that you do now. And
Yeah.
I want to applaud you for that because, like you said,
Appreciate it, mate.
you came to there's a T intersection there.
Mm.
You could have gone either way.
Yeah.
And you've chosen, the hard road is the road that you chose, but it's the good, it's the outcome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
normally the hard road's the good option.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
for the long term.
for the long term. Yeah. Yeah. When was the moment that you decided to go all in on this passion that you've had, making videos?
That was like, yeah, straight out of school. So graduated finished school. I didn't even graduate. I didn't even get my attendance in 12. Because I used to always go wagging to go film videos and go surfing. So
Yeah.
technically I never even got my weight
Year 12.
certificate, which is like your West Australian
Yeah.
education
Well,
certificate.
you don't need it, do you?
Yeah, I was like, I don't know. I was like, in my head at the time, I was like, man, I love filmmaking, and right now I've got nothing lined up for after school, but I know that a high school certificate probably isn't going to get me into the industries and areas of life that I want to get into.
Mm.
And then finished school November 2021. Started making those videos on and off. I was working at a local surf shop at the time, selling surfboards. I was surf coaching in the mornings in the shop in the Arvo. I was like, it's a pretty cool lifestyle.
Life, yeah.
As like a 17-year-old at the time, started making the videos around it, me walking my dog before, grabbing beers with the boys in the Arvo. And then, literally just before Chrissy 2021, I had my first video. It was like, it's the 12th, I think it was the 12th of December. Still remember the date. It was like, that was the first one I posted. So I always used to film, edit, and post the same day.
Mm.
Posted that night, woke up the next morning. Probably not the best habit, but checked my phone in the morning,
Yeah.
looked at TikTok, and I was like, holy fuck, it's got a couple million
It's going
views.
off. Did
No,
it?
Yeah. Overnight, I was the first one, got like 2.5 overnight or something. But at the time, I'd never experienced that, and I've been making videos for 7 years with no one watching them. So I'm like, fuck, this is sick. Someone's actually noticing.
Where's the money rolling in?
Yeah, a cropper. And then I was like, fuck it, I like making these videos. People like watching them, so I'm just gonna kind of take the formula I did in the last one and then just repeat it every day for the new day.
Yeah.
And then pretty much for the next 90 days, just do that same formula. Or out back when I've done a life here in Western Australia, and just it was a bit of a slag, to be honest. Like I was filming, editing, and posting every day. So I'd wake up. First thing I'd do was film myself getting out of bed, and my phone would just be recording me all day. And then it would usually end off the sunset. I would come home like 8:30 p.m., edit to 10 p.m., post it, go to sleep, and I did that for like 3 months straight while I was working at the surf shop. And it was funny as I was like really starting to blow up, and I started hitting a couple 100K. I actually got offered a job at the West Australian Police Force.
Oh, right. It's copper.
Not as a copper. I was working in the media.
Oh, right.
So I was like head of short form content.
Yeah.
So anytime there was some sort of, incident, arrest or whatever,
Yeah.
I would follow a couple coppers in the car and I would like go film with them.
You actually did it?
Yeah, I did for 3 months.
Did ya?
Yeah.
What was it like?
It was
Hectic?
It was pretty cool, man. I had some cool stories from it. Like I was working in an office and I was on standby.
You weren't suited up or anything, were you? It was just
Nah.
super. Went in the blue.
Wasn't suited up.
Yeah.
I had a couple times I had to wear vests and stuff, like just in case. But it was like working in an office environment, which I hated, but it was pretty cool when we were called onto jobs. Like I remember one story where pretty much there was this guy going around Perth where he had like 4 or 5 different dates with chicks, and he was pretty much drugging them and taking them home, and he never got caught. And I remember it was like I had like 3 weeks left of my job at the police because I was on a 3-month contract. And I like got a massive call in the office, like we finally found him. He's working at Fiona Stanley Hospital. We're gonna go arrest him. And then I
Was
was
he
like,
doctor or something, or a nurse, or
he was like a practicing, like
doctor?
doing his prac for a doctor. And I jumped in the car with like 4 coppers, and I'm running through the hospital while they're all armed, like looking for this bloke. And I'm just filming on the iPhone.
dude.
And he finally like arrested him, and like I'm just there like watching these boys drag him into the car. He's like flipping me off to the camera and
Was he?
glaring at me and trying to spit on me. And like, yeah, it was a pretty cool experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, after that, that was kind of like my indicators. Like, I don't really want to work for someone else again.
Mm.
As much as it is fun now and again, I didn't like the office environment and getting told what to do by others, and
You want to work on your own terms and
yeah,
Yeah.
just like having to live on someone else's schedule. And especially while this is all going on, I'm building like a pretty big audience in the
Yeah.
background. Filming my daily vlogs and TikTok, which at the time I wasn't making any money off, but
Yeah.
I knew I could potentially if I stuck with it. So yeah, finished off with the police. Kind of went all in on like just content with the money I saved working at the police, but traveling for a few months. Kept growing it. Eventually got signed by a Sydney-based management company. So then I could start like monetizing, getting brand deals and sponsorships, and
yeah, nice.
ran that for a year, just living off social media. And then yeah, March 2023 last year, I launched my econ brand One Palm, selling
Yeah.
swimwear.
Yeah.
Which was like kind of my step, because there's no other, as much as I know I can make money full time off social media if I wanted to. For me, it's like like humble enough to be able to realize that it's probably not going to last forever,
Yeah.
and creators go in phases, and I need to try and start building something bigger than myself. So
Mhm.
started One Palm last year, and yeah, it's been 18 months now, getting ready for a massive 24, 25 summer. We've built a pretty good customer base around Australia.
Yeah.
Selling boardies this summer, releasing women's line, doing bikinis.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
A lot of summer based products, and
I used to love watching your videos of when you first went live with the
Yeah.
with the website and you're getting orders coming
oh
through.
yeah,
I was getting pumped.
that
I was like,
sick.
that must be the best feeling when you know that like strangers, like supporters, people that love you, but strangers that are actually spending money
yeah, it was,
on your stuff. Like, what's that feeling like?
yeah, that was kind of like my first. So obviously before that, I was already probably like 10 months of doing social media full time. But when I like first released One Palm and started seeing the feedback from my audience correlating to physical sales, I was like, holy shit, this is unreal. I can actually like make something out of this. And
Yeah.
over the last 18 months, we've grown like over 2,000 unit customer base around Australia.
So good.
So 1,000 pairs of board shorts, and just just slowly dipping our toes into the swimwear market within Australia. But
Yeah.
plan to keep growing that over the next 5 to 10 years and really try and dominate that market.
What's your relationship been like with fear? Has fear ever held you back from achieving things in life? Because I know for me personally, like I played rugby all my life,
Yeah.
and because I knew I was good at rugby, I didn't want to try anything else, because when you try something else, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be shit at it.
Yeah.
And that fear element of failing really held me back from trying new things. Even the things that I wanted to learn, I was like, oh, fuck, I don't want to fail at it because, I'll be shit, or who's going to think about
Yeah.
it, and that sort of thing. And I realized, like, success and failure aren't sort of like opposite sides of a coin.
Yeah.
They're both, necessity.
Yeah.
You need them both to learn. And what I learned late in life, but you're better off learning it now than learning it never, is that I truly think that real failure is not even trying.
Yeah.
Has fear ever held you back? And what's your relationship like with failure?
Yeah. No, I love failing, man. I think
You do?
failing's
You need it,
I was actually reading this book on the way up this morning called Greenlight by Navi Mogai.
mate.
Just started it, and I know one of the first things it was talking about is like a failure is like an orange light.
Yeah.
It's a stop sign, but it's going to go green eventually if you push through, and you be patient enough. But yeah, I'll actually show you my journal, man, after this. So I was sitting in bed last night at 11 p.m. because I couldn't sleep, and I was just like writing down my thoughts, and I was writing all about fear. It's funny.
Oh
how I say
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But I don't know. Fear has never really been a factor in my life that stopped me from doing many things.
Do you feel it though? You still feel fear?
Definitely, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Especially cold calling chicks and whatnot. But maybe that side a little bit. But
yeah.
in terms of business and like following my purpose, definitely not. Nah.
Yeah, you're not afraid to take risks or anything like that. Or are you?
Yeah, I don't know. Within business and like
Business, yeah.
in terms of my career, no.
Yeah.
Definitely. I went bungee jumping a couple months ago. That was pretty scary.
Did you?
Almost pulled out of that.
Try skydiving.
Yeah, I don't
really?
mind skydiving.
See, I'm the same. So skydiving doesn't look real because
Yeah.
it's so high. I'm like, this doesn't look. I jumped off a bridge in New Zealand into the water. I was like,
Yeah.
fuck this. I can see the ground.
Yeah, I did the same one. That was nuts.
So,
Yeah, I don't know. But in terms of business and career, it's always just been like, maybe it's because I'm a bit younger. At 21, I've always
yeah.
had this mindset. It's like, man, if I try something now and I fuck up and look like a failure to everyone, I don't really care.
Mm,
I'm going to learn a lot more than if I didn't try at all.
absolutely.
And I think I've always been massive into meditation, and over the last couple of years, slowly developing a relationship with God and trying to have a lot more faith within the universe. And I feel like that's probably been the biggest factor for me for just knowing that what I'm going to put myself onto is going to work out.
Yeah, okay.
As soon as I've started to, trying to open myself up to not fighting against universe and just letting whatever happens.
Just lean into it a bit more, eh?
Leaning into it. And
Yeah, I'm not religious, but I feel like spiritual wise, like I do feel like you said, everything happens for a reason. And the more I lean into to things that are more authentically myself,
yeah,
the more opportunities that start to happen.
Yeah.
And I look back on it now, I go, this wouldn't have happened if I didn't say yes to this, or
Yeah.
if I wasn't my true self and just not cared about trying to impress someone or try to be someone that I'm not.
Yeah.
And just fully accept this is who I am.
Yeah.
Regardless of what someone might think or judge me or something. And the more I've done that, the more these opportunities and doors start happening. And I'm walking through these doors and I'm like, fuck man, like where I was, a year ago to where I am now, and the people that I've met and chat with, and how this podcast is growing. Like this wouldn't have happened if I didn't lean into myself more.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And just like you said, I think the first step to really overcoming fear is like looking at failure as just a stepping stone to success, and it's not a setback, and it's not a bash to your, to your momentum. And as soon as you can like really understand that you can look forward to failure, because you're going to learn a lot more from failing than not even trying at all. You start to look at fear as like, I don't know, it doesn't come as prevalent anymore. And when you start to look at the setbacks you have as all different dots, that when you look back in maybe years' time, they'll all somehow magically link up.
They will. Let's
work.
But at the time, it doesn't feel like that. And like fear for me, like it used to, I used to run away from it.
Yeah.
And even that book, like I love that book there so much. It was actually the first book. Green Lights is the first book I've ever read.
Really?
And I'm 33.
Yeah.
And Green Lights is the first book that I read from start to finish in like 2 days, and I read it about 4 or 5 times now.
Yeah.
But he talks about like leaning into fear. Like fear is like that defense mechanism that your body gives you to keep you in the safe zone, like keep you in the comfort zone. Don't try to do these things.
Yeah.
But the more I've like lean into fear, on the other side of fear for me is just success.
Yeah.
And now when I fear something, I use that as a guide for something that I should do rather than something that I shouldn't do.
Yeah, I love that. That's sick.
So like if something scares me, like this podcast scared the shit out of me, and then I was like, maybe I shouldn't do it. And I was like, hang on a second. Like if it scares you, what we've talked about, like you should be walking towards it instead of walking away from it. And now like that's my indicator now. Instead of not to do things, if something scares me, or if like, I get that feeling in my stomach, like, I don't know if I should do this.
Yeah.
That's like an indicator for me to be like, you should do this. Like that's what you should be doing.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. It's like, I know Jones fought the other day, and like one of my favorite quotes he said ages ago to Uruhwani was like, when he's walking out and he's about to do his walk out to the cage, he turns that pressure and those butterflies into his stomach. And I think he says he puts those butterflies in formation.
Does he?
Yeah.
I love that.
Instead of just letting, the pressure and the anxiety before big pressure moments overcome you, he's like, he uses that, and he sees it as an indicator that he's doing something that he's meant to be doing.
Yeah, I love that.
And using, diamonds are formed under pressure.
So I mentioned, I think earlier on, that I got sort of rid of all social media. I was going through some sort of mental health struggles, and like you said before, being on your phone, first thing in the morning, last thing at night, it's not good for you.
Yeah.
So I quit it. I got rid of all social media. I found it to be very toxic. But I think it was just a reflection of how I was feeling at that time. I think I was quite toxic at the time.
Yeah.
And how I sort of viewed it, my perception of social media. So you work in there full time. Has there ever been a moment where you were like, oh fuck, I need a break from this? Or did you find, little toxic habits started to creep into your lifestyle or anything like that? Or have you been pretty good with?
Definitely when I started, I had a funny story, but when I first started and I was doing those, consecutive vlogs every single day for a few months at a time. Since I was like building so much momentum with the following I was gaining and amount of views each video I was getting, I was pretty much dictating my day on how my video the night before went. So I'd wake up and first thing I'd do as soon as my alarm went off is I'd grab my phone, open up TikTok, look at last night's video. And if it hadn't gone over 1 million views overnight, I'd be like, what the fuck? This is shit house. Everyone hates my content.
Really?
And my day would just be like proper ruined. And then I'd wake up and my video would have popped off overnight.
I'm back, baby.
Gone off. And I'm like, fuck yeah, we're filming today.
Yeah.
Today's going to be the best day ever.
Oh,
And
right.
yeah, at the end of that like a few month period when I eventually really, really burn out from making these daily vlogs, it was just like I just had to step away for a month and be like, fuck, I can't have that relationship with social media, even as a creator, like letting your daily life be dictated by, numbers on a
Views.
screen.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
and it's so addictive when it's going in your favor, but when it's not going in your favor and you do let it affect you, it's really discouraging. But I don't know, I feel like in the last few years I've been pretty good. It's definitely times where I want to take a detox off social media for a month at a time, but fortunately now I'm having businesses that kind of relies on it a bit more. But yeah, I try not to consume too much, and I try and when I do consume, whatever it's YouTube, Instagram, be a lot more intentional with it and not just, scroll
Aimlessly scrolling. Yeah. Are you good at maintaining like a healthy work-life balance?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm figured that one out yet, to be honest. I was actually thinking about that the other week, me and my mate chatting about it over coffee, but I don't know, I think with what I do, like I love what I do with One Palm, selling swimwear, with the events I'm running and making content. So for me, it's always been like very seamless between the two.
Yeah. Your daily life is the
Yeah.
content, so it's
A little bit.
merged into like
Yeah,
one a little bit.
a little bit. Yeah, and I've always just rolled with it, and it hasn't really caused me too many dramas so far.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think there's definitely times where I need to definitely switch off more and put my phone down and try and switch off from, creator mode or business mode or whatever it is. But yeah, for the most part, I've been pretty healthy with it so far.
Are you very like you talked about meditation and stuff? Are you into your mindfulness? Or
Yeah, recently actually,
Yeah.
I kind of, especially after this period I went through in the last few months when I was like down in the trenches for a while there, making really bad decisions and feeling super lost. Like I remember, start of October, man, like I was about to go on this few week trip to Lombok, with a bunch of different business founders around Australia, and flew home back to Perth for a couple of days before I went. And I remember one day, man, I went home. My mum was just heading out to school 'cause she's a teacher, and like I just proper broke down, like in my bedroom, just like I'm like, fuck, what have I done? Like, how have I let myself get to this position? Like, these habits I've been doing and hanging around these certain people, and
Were you disappointed in yourself?
just really disappointed in myself. And
Yeah.
like after everything I've gone through with my dad and whatnot, like my biggest promise I've always had to myself is that I'm gonna give my mum the life she deserves. She's been there for me, helped me become the person I've been, and after seeing the pain she went through, losing, and obviously it was my dad, but like it was her husband,
Her
and
life partner.
her life partner,
Yeah.
and trying to just dictate everything I do with the purpose of pushing in the right direction, that I can, retire her and buy her a nice house and give her the life that she deserves. I just really broke down. But yeah, after that phase, I went on that amazing trip to Lombok. I kind of came home and I was like, all right, we're going to start dialing the habits again. And I try and meditate first thing I do when I wake up and right before I go to bed, journal every day and whatnot. And
How are you with the meditation?
yeah, I'm loving it, man.
Yeah.
It's like the gym. When you first get back to the gym after a bit of time off, it sucks.
It's a bit rusty.
Yeah. But a week in, it gets really, you start to get that focus back. But
It's that practice, isn't it? Eh?
yeah, 100%. I've always I use this app called Manifesty.
Yeah. Okay. I need to get onto it.
I seen Alex Hayes put on a story once. I was like, oh, I'll try it out. And like, it is for me, it's more of like a visualization manifestation than instead of just sitting there and breathing.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like, it's sick, man. Like,
Yeah.
it makes it actually like I look forward to doing it because it's like I lay down and
Therapeutic.
this chick chats to me and she's like, vision your life 1 year from now. And like, you start frothing out and you come out of it feeling so G'd up. And
And you need that, don't you?
yeah, for sure. Especially just like, just keep you on balance with, the chaos of day-to-day life.
Yeah.
But yeah, I try and journal every morning. Journaling's been massive, just writing, what I'm up to for the day and how I'm feeling. And
How long have you been journaling for?
probably every year,
Oh, really?
every single day.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
Just in my phone. It's super easy. And if I'm having a shit day, I try and write down while I'm feeling shit.
Mm.
Sounds childish, but like it honestly
It
helps.
works.
Hey,
It works. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, you just break down maybe certain triggers that made you feel that way in the first place and how you can avoid them in the future. And
You can trace it back more often than not. You can trace it back to,
yeah,
as simple as like eating.
Yeah.
Eat shit food, you're going to feel shit.
100%. It's just like, you like subconsciously, you just pick up so much clutter in your mind every single day from, the interactions you have to your work to, your training. And it's just like, it's really necessary, I feel, to sit down and just kind of organize your life and understand how you're feeling and understand what you're doing and why you're doing it.
It's creating that connection with the mind and body. And
Yeah.
like, that's something that I'm still learning now is that ability to be present.
Yeah.
Like I've always, had a lot of head noise.
Yeah.
Whether it be positive or negative, I'm always constantly thinking, and for me, I've found it very hard to settle that and be present.
Yeah.
So a lot of mindful stuff that I've practiced is trying to get that ability to be present what I'm doing in life.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if we're doing this with me and you, if I'm with my partner, if I'm with my mum and dad. When I'm there, I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about when I've got something that I'm passionate about like this. Even when I'm with my mum and dad, something will spark an idea, and I'm like, "Fuck, that would be a great idea."
Yeah.
And then I'm like, "Elliot, you're with your mum and dad. Like, be present with them." So that's
100%.
that's another like skill and something you got to practice. Is constantly reminding yourself to be present and appreciate these moments you have in your life.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. I think. Yeah. The real fulfillment and joy in life is always found when you're really immersed in the current task you're doing,
Yeah.
whatever that is, and finding different ways that you can tap into that, present moment is it's crucial.
And we all want we all want success, however it looks for us. Can you share a moment when you realize success comes with its own challenges?
Yeah, 100%. I find success is different for everyone, and for me, it's what I've kind of really come down to. It's just like waking up every day and actually really looking forward to what I've got on for the day. Is like kind of what I define as success nowadays. Like today, I had a couple of meetings this morning in Brizzy. Now I got this potty, go home this Arvo, got training and dinner with my mates. And it's like I woke up this morning and like honestly felt so grateful for the day I've got ahead and so excited. And for me, that's like successful in itself. And obviously one day I'd love to own a nice house and have a great family and have a couple, empire businesses. But being able to really enjoy the journey getting there is so much more important because, if you don't, you get to the destination, you look back and you'll realize that all the fun and all the good times are made in getting to there in the first place. So
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What's been the most fulfilling moment in your life so far?
Damn, that's a good question. Man, I don't know actually. That's definitely lots of highlights. Maybe something to do with One Palm.
Yeah.
Probably seeing the way One Palm has grown over the last year and a half, and how it's allowed me to, be able to finance my life, and now soon to retire my mum and not retire, but take her out of her job and give her a full-time job working from home with this business, which we've both built from the ground up.
Yeah. Instead of being an unpaid intern like my parents are.
I think that will
Yeah.
when that happens, I think that that will probably be the most fulfilling part. But yeah, it's usually always based around connection. I feel,
Yeah.
having good times with, my friends and my family is always the most fulfilling parts.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we've got some quick fire questions to end here, so you can answer them
Sick.
as quickly or as long as you want. And you sort of talked about it then. How you define success? Is it the getting up in the morning and loving your life? Because I heard a really good quote that I kind of use now is the 5-second rule.
Yeah.
So first 5 seconds of the morning, if I'm not fucking buzzing, it doesn't matter like what I got on. If I'm not buzzing, just sort of get out of bed and attack the day.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm not doing what I should be doing, or I'm not in the
I like that
passion that I should be doing. So I work in the mines, and that's tough to get out of bed and do the 5-second rule.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to find those pros with the mines. Is that people ask me, do you like the mining life? And I go, no, I don't like what I'm doing, but I like what it provides me.
Yeah.
So I work 4 months of the year.
Yeah.
And I get paid a shit ton of money to work 4 months of the year. So I love that. And if I didn't do that, then I wouldn't have the money and the time to do this podcast.
Yeah.
So I've got to at the back of my head, I got to go, when I get up in the morning, I go, you're doing this for a reason.
Yeah.
You're building hopefully you're building the life that you want to live.
Yeah. It's all aligned with where you want to get to.
It's all aligned. And that's the thing that I wasn't before. I wasn't aligned. I was sort of just working, spending money and working, spending money. And I'm like, what am I actually like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
What direction am I heading in? So that's been sort of my success is getting myself aligned with what I want to achieve in life.
Yeah.
And I feel like sort of work used to be up here and like sort of the podcast used to be down here, but as like I said to you before, it was like leaning more into your authentic self. It's sort of like coming up here now, and it's sort of like almost balanced. And I think down the line there will be a time where I'll have to make that scary jump of like
the full shift,
which is what I'd rather be doing this with you every day than spending a week out in the pit.
And I think with that attitude and rocking up every day and understanding where you want to get to, man, it won't be long. Like you got 40 episodes banked.
Yeah.
Like you're putting in the work, and I think it'll definitely pay off. But like you said, it's just, I feel like the best times of my life, I've said that a few times today, but like the most fulfilling parts of my life was when I feel like I'm making progress, whether it's in my health or my business or relationships, and waking up every day and feeling genuinely excited for what's about to come is a great indicator of that.
Are you chasing that? Every day is growing.
You're
trying to get better every day. Even if it's a little bit, it's just trying to get a little bit better.
It's my favorite quote. It's my alarm clock. Another day, another W.
Oh, is it? I love that.
Yeah. Just trying to, even if it's 1% or trying to be a bit more kind or whatever it is.
What's a lesson that you've learnt the hard way?
Damn, it's a rough one. Definitely plenty. I would say, the most fulfilling times are always found on the other times of hardship. That no matter what, no matter how dark it does seem, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. And that's been something I've really had to reassure myself plenty of times and develop that framework. But understanding that no matter how rough your situation feels or how dark your days feel, how hard it is to get out of bed, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel, and that every storm is going to have the sunshine through at the other end. So
I love that. Is there a particular memory or moment with your dad or with your family in general that you cherish forever?
Yeah. You see, we used to love soccer growing up, and me and my dad used to always go kickball every Sunday. He used to play guitar, and we used to try and learn Sticky Fingers songs all the time together.
Oh, did ya?
Yeah.
Did you play any?
I can't. I'm terrible. He was always good on the guitar. And
was he?
Oh,
nice.
But we did lots of travel when we were younger. He was Irish, so we was go to Ireland every year, and we'd make a trip to Europe out of that. Super fortunate. Like I've got great memories of my dad going to Paris and Italy and whatnot when I was
amazing,
like 8-9 years old. So
yeah,
there's plenty good ones to cherish.
And last one, your legacy. How do you view that? What do you want to leave behind?
I just want to try be truly inspiring, and I want everyone that comes across my content or my business or even me in person can walk away from a conversation or a piece of content I put out there and be like, feel inspired in whatever aspect of their life that may be, whether it's within finding a bit more happiness in their day-to-day life, or if it's in their relationships, whatever it is. I want to try and leave my conversations of people and people that follow me on social media and that come across products I sell with inspiration. That's kind of always been the driver after everything that's happened. So
to have that positive impact on people, it's exactly what I'm sort of trying to do at this with the podcast too. So I feel thank you so much for coming in today, mate. Making the time. I know you're, like you said, you're a very, very busy man. And it's a bit weird sort of seeing you in person after watching all your content for the last year and a bit. So I applaud you, man, for speaking so well about what's sort of happened to you and your family and your outlook on life, man. You're really inspirational, and
appreciate it, mate.
I really appreciate it. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks so much for listening to another episode of Mind Your Head. If you'd like to support the show, be sure to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcasts. It really supports the show and helps others discover us. Don't forget to join us on Instagram and TikTok at mindyourhead.podcast.